What's up guys, and thank you muchly for joining me for another review. I hope your Saturday is going groovy smooth, and today's game is from one of my favourite game franchises ever, the good old Final Fantasy series, and Final Fantasy 15 today to be more specific. Originally released in 2016 and originally starting off called Final Fantasy Versus 13 for some ungodly reason, Final Fantasy 15 is the first mainline single-player Final Fantasy to have an air of, like, more modern open-worldness. Of course, Final Fantasy 12 had a little bit of open-worldness, but this is where it kind of takes in all the more modern commodities that you usually find. You take control of Prince Noctis, who is accompanied by his three friends, Prompto, the selfie-obsessed childhood friend, Ignis, the intelligent yet food-obsessed friend, and Gladio, the large, muscle man bodyguard friend. Each one with their own personality and skill sets, and they all gel together really well, and it's quite fun to see them interact. And Noctis and his friends are on a quest to reclaim his kingdom after it's been invaded by Niflheim, the bad guys. There is an animated prequel film that you can watch, which is pretty good, but not necessarily needed. However, the story gets quite muddled towards the end of the game, with the powers of light and dark coming into play and a mysterious antagonist and being chosen by a crystal. It gets very Final Fantasy-ish, but that's not really the main focus of the game. It's more sort of Noctis and his character itself. But the true, and like I said, the true strength of the story is the characters, specifically with Noctis and his friends. Their relationship with one another feels very organic, believable, and the constant banter between them as you traverse the world and take on the different activities is just worth it completely. For all intents and purposes, Final Fantasy 15 is an open-world action RPG that takes you from deserts to forests, fields, rocky mountainsides, and decrepit cities, taking on main and side quests which are plentiful, and gaining XP and cruising in your car the regalia, collecting items off of the floor, opening chests. There's plenty to do as you explore, like taking on monster hunting quests, for example, which is my personal favourite. There's fishing. You can also do a variety of photo taking if that's your thing, and there's loads of secrets to find and parts to find to upgrade your car, searching for all the king's weapons that Noctis can equip, bringing down Niflheim bases, delving into dungeons, renting chocobos and mooching about, and plenty more. The car that you cruise around in, the Regalia, can be customised with cosmetic skins and an awesome selection of music from past Final Fantasy games that can all be bought from shops and vendors throughout the world. You can also change the Regalia to be a 4x4 for some off-roading that you can control fully, and even eventually upgrade it so that it can fly across the map, which is also controlled by you. Just go careful with that landing. You have to make sure that you land correctly or you die. And by collecting and gathering materials from all over the world, there's a character called Sid. There's always a Sid in a Final Fantasy, and he can upgrade weapons for you. It takes a little bit of time, but you just keep doing what you do and he'll call you back. Combat is fast and frantic, with Noctis having a sort of teleportability. The controls may be simple, but mastering them will make the combat very satisfying, whilst you can dodge, counter and slash away, choosing from one of 4 weapons that can be equipped at any one time. Noctis' 3 friends can also be used during combat, as by doing certain things will trigger double team attacks or triple team attacks, and each character has a special ability that can be triggered, like Gladio doing big damage attacks, Prompto causing some kind of stagger effect, or Ignis healing the party. Summons can also be gained as you progress, but unfortunately can only be used sometimes. The way you level up in Final Fantasy 15, however, is pretty unique, as every quest you do, or be it main quest, side quest, or any of the other many activities that you gain XP for, it will all continue to build until you rest at an inn or a motel, or even at a campsite out in the wild. Different inns, or wherever you stay, offer a different percentage multiplier to your XP gain, so once you rest, the XP is then allocated to your character, obviously then leveling them up, causing you to be able to add upgrades through a skill tree, as per the usual with these kind of games. So you can also customize each character's look and appearance, as well as their items and equipment, as per the usual, which is always in Final Fantasy. Food is a big part of the game, as you can also gain stat boosts by having Ignis cook you certain meals once you have the recipe. Always cool to have food involved. To be honest, I could go on and on about Final Fantasy 15, but I really think that it's definitely worth a try for yourself. Yes, it's different from the norm, but also that could be a really good thing, as a lot of the Final Fantasies are turn-based combat, which I personally enjoy, but a lot of people prefer the more action involved, which is here in Final Fantasy 15. I had a whale of time playing it and couldn't put it down from start to finish. I still have plenty to do on the game, even once beating the main quest. There's also New Game Plus you can unlock. There's DLC where you can control the other characters and their own little stories. There's a multiplayer mode, but although it's pretty cool and revolves around monster hunting, it's pretty dead now, to be honest. I mean, worth a go. I think you can do it solo, but that's just a tiny part. I think it's also a free download if you have a mooch about on the marketplace. I think that was a free one. The only negatives I have about the game are the frame rates can be a little sluggish at times, especially on the PS4 version, which is the one I've played. I mean, they're not terrible, but compared to games now, this game is like 4 years old now. Holy moly, 4 years, that is a long old time. And the story is a little bit wishy-washy and doesn't really fill in a lot of gaps, so you will be left confused a lot of the time, and the game is very open world for the first half of it, and then it kind of gets to a point and then it's kind of streamlined straight to the end then. But once you complete the game, it all unlocks and you can just carry on completing everything, finding everything, upgrading everything, and doing whatever you want. And the positives of Final Fantasy 15 far outweigh the negatives. Like the combat, the exploration, the characters, the monster hunting, it's all good. With all that being said, I'm happy to give Final Fantasy 15 a solid 9 out of 10. If the story had been a little more focused and the frame rates been a little more polished, it could have easily been a 10 out of 10 game for me. Of course, that's just my opinion. Yours may vary. But thank you very much for listening to me ramble on about another game that I enjoy playing. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Any help is amazing. And again, thank you for all the support. I'm still crawling on towards the 1,000 subscribers, and once I get there, I shall be doing awesome giveaways and continually keep doing giveaways from then on. And yeah, I can't wait to get there. Thank you very much for everything, and until next time, take it easy.